this is Hedda. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am getting my bullet journal ready for August, and this is the first month that I am setting up in my new notebook from Takti. If you want to see my full bullet journal setup for this notebook, then check out my previous video because I set up everything there and talk through the spreads that I made and everything. And I have to say, I absolutely love how my August spreads turned out, so I am really excited to show you guys. And before I show you my process, I just have to give a huge shout out to By Oriel. She made me these beautiful press-on nails in anticipation of this theme. I love them so much and they made me really excited to set up my journal. This is not sponsored, but I did get these press-on nails for free. You can find a link to By Oriel in the description box together with a special discount code that's only for my followers. I also want to show you this beautiful necklace that a follower named Chrissy sent to me in a pen pal letter. It's so pretty and I wear it almost every day now. I'll put a link to her Instagram in the description box as well. But now let's get started on my August setup. The first thing is, of course, setting up my cover page. In my previous video, I made this color palette spread with little cards where I swatch markers that I'm using for each monthly theme. And since the cards are just attached with washi tape, I'm taking the one for August out so that I can have the swatches in front of me while I make the setup. And this way I don't have to be confused about which marker I'm using, since I have a lot of yellow, blues and purples in this setup that are almost the same but not quite. So this way there's no confusion, and I have to say the little card actually saved me a bunch of time while I was making this setup, because I didn't have to flip through a swatch page, I didn't have to swatch the markers again on a separate piece of paper. So very helpful. I'm very happy I made that spread and that I made the little card. As you can see, the first thing I did on the spread was to make my title for August. I used a blue Crayola super tip for this. It's not a brush pen, but it does have a cone shape, so you can kind of make brush lettering with the Crayola super tip. I outlined the lettering with a quite thick fine liner. I think it was a 0.5 or a 0.7 black fine liner. And then I also used a Sakura jelly roll to make some white highlights on the lettering to kind of make it pop a little bit. And then I got started on the line art. There's quite a bit of it on this cover page. It took me quite a long time to draw everything, actually. I'm using 0.5 and 0.7 black fine liners for this whole cover page because I wanted the lines to be really thick and visible, because there will be quite a lot of color on the spread. So if I'm using a very thin fine liner, the lines might disappear a little bit and it might make the spread look a little bit muddy or like disorganized. I'm not really sure how to describe it, but yeah, I used a thick fine liner to make sure that everything was visible the way I wanted it to be. And now's probably a good time to talk about my theme for August. I went for a kind of sunset and video game theme for this month. Oh, and also poppies. I've been wanting to draw poppies for a bullet journal theme for quite some time. I guess I can't say that it really fit this theme, but I did it anyway. I've never been a big video game person. The only games that I really play are Pokemon games. I had a Game Boy when I was a kid, and then I got a Nintendo DS, and now I have a Nintendo Switch. So I'm definitely a Nintendo girl. I've expanded my games a little bit, so I'm not just playing Pokemon games anymore, but I'm pretty sure I've played every Pokemon game there is out there, so there's that. My partner Jordan has a PlayStation 5, so one game that we're gonna play together is Stray, where you play as a cat, and it looks really cute and I'm really excited to play it. I've played a few PlayStation games with him before. I really like those with like really strong storylines, because it's kind of like watching a movie, since obviously he's the one playing because I'm not very good at PlayStation games. So I watch him play and also tell him what to do because I'm a real backseat driver. But yeah, I wanted to do a little bit of a different theme. Obviously, I'm still using elements from nature, like the poppies and the sunset, but I wanted something that wasn't similar to the other themes that I've made this year. I did take some inspiration from my own December spreads from last year, although the colors are completely different. And this color scheme kind of came about when I saw the Golden Hour set from Notebook Therapy. It has like a notebook and washi tapes and a stamp, which you just saw me use. And it has really pretty golden tones like oranges and yellows and blues and a little bit of purple, and I just thought it was so warm and inviting, and it made me think about just cozy evenings alone playing video games and just enjoying the late summer and the last of the warm summer nights basically. I think out of all of my bullet journal setups this year, this is the one that has taken me the longest. I had around 5 hours of footage for this video and I filmed it over 2 days. And of course, I really love the result. I took my time, I did everything slowly and I didn't stress about finishing in one day or whatever. I sometimes tend to do that, but I tried to like take it easy with this one. The setup is very drawing heavy, so I know that it probably isn't the easiest to replicate, but my patrons actually get a printable version of the cover page, both with colors and without colors, like line art only, for those who want to color it in themselves, and also a printable version of the calendar. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely check out my Patreon. And also one last thing about the Patreon. I promise this is the last thing I'll mention about it. All patrons who join the Charles tier during July will get this exclusive sticker sheet and vinyl sticker in the mail, and then everyone who joins the Charles tier in August will get this sticker sheet and vinyl sticker in the mail. What's new in August is that there will be another tier, a twin Charles tier, which gives you 2 sticker sheets and 2 vinyl stickers in the mail. So they will be duplicates, they will be the same vinyl sticker, the same sticker sheet, but it's for those who want more than one, those who maybe don't like to use stickers without knowing that they have duplicates. I know that some of my patrons really like to have extras, so that they don't feel like they're using up the stickers, if that makes sense. So now you know, those are the updates coming to my Patreon in August. And now let's talk a bit more about my cover page as I am starting to color it in. The first thing that I did after finishing the line art was to put down some washi tape. These are from the Golden Hour set from Notebook Therapy. I used some of the circle washi stickers and also a couple of washi tapes that I thought would go with this cover page. And then I started to color in the poppies. And I think poppies are normally red, but kind of like orangey red, and I went for a very bright orange for my poppies. It's a Tombow dual brush pen that I'm using to color in the poppies, but I'm not sure about which one it is because I've had it for a really long time and the number of the color has completely rubbed off, so I'm sorry, I don't know which number it is. But for the center of the poppy, I am using a zebra mild liner. And then for the rest of the colors that I am using on the spread, for the grid and the background, I am using a 991 Tombow dual brush pen, and then the clouds are a 772. The blue marker that I'm using is a 553 Tombow dual brush pen, and then other yellows that I'm using on the spread is a 985 and a 993. And then I think I'm also using a 946, at least it's on my swatch card here. So I tried to use lots of different yellows and oranges to kind of make it a bit more dynamic. And then I even added some purple, that's the 620 Tombow dual brush pen. I also have a 623, but it's a little bit brighter, and I went for the more muted one. I made this kind of grid in the background with a yellow 991 Tombow dual brush pen because I thought it would maybe add a little bit more to the spread, make it feel a little bit more cohesive. And then I used a Sakura Jelly Roll Gold gel pen for the moons, and then also to make some sparkles around the spread later. For final details, I kind of made little floral drawings everywhere on the buttons on the Nintendo Switch controller. It's a Pro controller. I actually don't have one of these, but I would really like to have one next time I settle down somewhere, because I'm not settling down, I guess. Right now I am in Norway, but I am going back to the US in August, and then fingers crossed I'll be able to go to Japan in September or October, depending on when their borders open, but I am hoping for September. You just don't know what's happening these days. I mean, I'm sure that COVID put a stop to most people's plans. For me, it was never really the plan to be away from Japan for so long. Like, I lived in Japan from like 2013 until 2016, and then also in 2018, and then my plan was to go back in 2020 to do some like research for my master's thesis, and then just kind of be there for a while. Obviously that didn't happen, and so now it's been so many years since I was there last, and I feel like it's time to go back. So hopefully the borders will open this fall and I can try to remember all of the Japanese that I forgot. But I am really excited to be able to see my friends again, and I'm sure lots of things have changed since I was there last, which will be a little bit strange, but that's just how life is. I also went around everything that I drew with a thinner fine liner. I think this is a 0.25 black fine liner that I'm using to kind of outline everything in a kind of scribbly line. And then for the poppies, I did a little bit of shading with the same orange Tombow dual brush pen, and I actually was a little bit worried about like ghosting and bleeding on this paper, because like I mentioned in my previous video, I have switched to a Takti notebook, which is 135 GSM, and the past few notebooks that I've been using have been 160 GSM, so I was wondering how this notebook would hold up to lots of brightly colored markers, but there's actually no ghosting, so I was worried for nothing because this notebook is great. Moving on to the calendar spread. I'm gonna say this about like every spread in this video, but I really like how this turned out. I have a lot of things going on in August, so I've already filled in my calendar with lots of stuff, and I've used some markers to kind of color code different events, and I really like how it's looking. Can't wait to show you guys on Instagram. I know I didn't post that much of my July spreads on Instagram, but I'll try to do better for August. July was just really weird with like me being sick with COVID and just being really behind on everything. So yeah, photos on Instagram kind of suffered a little bit, but that's okay. It's just Instagram. So for this spread, I started with the line art as usual, and I split my grid into two. So I did the first 4 days of the week on the left page and then the last 3 days on the right page. I don't know, I just like separating my calendar this way when I make a big calendar grid like this. Each of the calendar boxes are 5 by 5 squares, or like 2.5 centimeters by 2.5 centimeters. Obviously, I wanted this spread to look similar to my cover page, so I drew the same clouds and the same poppies and everything, but instead of a Nintendo Switch controller, I drew a little Tamagotchi and also the regular Nintendo Switch controller as well. So the Tamagotchis were really popular when I was a kid, but I never had one. My parents didn't really encourage video games. I was the oldest and I'm a girl, and I guess that means that I wouldn't be interested in video games, so they just never bought me video games. So I never had a Tamagotchi, but they look really cute and I know so many people love them a lot. So I wanted to include it here because it definitely fits with the kind of retro video games that I have going on. I mean, that's not completely true, and that's not the impression you would get from watching my setup. But before I drew this setup, I drew new stickers for my sticker shop, and I also drew stickers for my patrons, and there I included more retro video game consoles, like the Game Boy Color and more Tamagotchis and like the GameCube. So that's definitely more retro. Obviously the Nintendo Switch is new. So yeah, there are no rules. I'm just drawing what I want. So for the title, I used an orange Tombow dual brush pen to letter August, and I tried to make it as similar to my cover page header as I could. So I tried to make the lettering the same, only in a different color. As you saw on the cover page, I used a blue Crayola Super Tip, and then for the calendar I used an orange one. I guess I wanted to have more orange on the spread and less blue, I guess, because I didn't want this setup to turn into mostly blue with yellow and orange accents. I wanted it to be yellow and orange with a little bit of blue accents. And then I made the same grid with the 991 Tombow dual brush pen. This was the first things that I colored in because I wanted to make sure that I had that down before I started everything else. My line art here was drawn with a 0.7 fine liner. Even the calendar grid is a 0.7, except for like the grid inside of the calendar. That was a 0.5, I think, or a 0.25. I can't remember exactly. And then I started with coloring in the clouds, and I only did the outlines on this. I kind of used two different coloring techniques in this whole setup because I am coloring in the whole poppies and doing some shading and some highlights as well. But for everything else, like the clouds and the game consoles, I am just coloring in the outlines. I kind of like both techniques, but I was a bit worried that it would be maybe a little bit too overwhelming if I colored in everything, and it's kind of an interesting look, I think, to just do like shading or like outlines with the color instead of coloring in the entire thing. So all the buttons and everything I colored in completely, but for the main controllers or the Tamagotchi, I'm just going around it. This theme is definitely on the more whimsical side, and I think what really makes it work is adding sparkles and little stars everywhere and having the little gold details, and also making sure that some of the items in the drawing are in the front and some are in the back. So you'll notice with the clouds, some of them are kind of behind the grid or behind the other items on the page, while some of them are in the front. And I think that this makes the spread kind of come alive a little bit more, and you definitely have to be concentrated when doing line art when you're trying to make a spread like this, so that you don't accidentally draw a line where it's not supposed to go. So I definitely spent some time on my sketch for this and like made sure that I knew where everything was going and which clouds were in the front and which were in the back. So yeah, a lot of drawing with my pencil and erasing. And I always do my pencil sketches with a very light hand so that there won't be any issues erasing the pencil marks after. So what I usually do is I use my HB pencil. That's a pretty hard pencil, and it's honestly just the one I've always been using. I have an old mechanical pencil from Muji. I've had it since I think 2013, so it's almost 10 years old. That's crazy. I just refill the lead when I need to, and then I do my sketches with a really light hand. And after doing my line art, I always wait and make sure that the pen strokes are all dry so that I don't accidentally smudge the pen lines with my eraser. And then I just use a regular Staedtler eraser to erase my pencil lines, and I always hold down the paper so that I don't accidentally crumple it, because we all know that's the worst thing that can happen. But yeah, my top tip for sketching is definitely to use a light hand. Otherwise, your pencil marks might not come off. August is such a pretty month because it starts on a Monday, so the grid looks super nice. And I was so happy to have the perfect amount of space for the August title at the bottom. I usually don't make a header for the days of the week in my monthly calendar setups, but I did this time, and I used the 991 Tombow dual brush pen for the top bar and also to make a little circle in each square for each date. And then of course I used the same gold jelly roll pen for the moons on the spread and made the same squiggly lines and the little stars and everything. So those are kind of the final touches on the spread. You also saw me use one of the washi tapes from the Golden Hour set from Notebook Therapy to put in the Tamagotchi, like on the screen, and I thought this was really cute, and I didn't really know what to draw in there, so it just worked out well. When in doubt, put washi tape there, that's what I always say. The next spread is my playlist and my focus and tasks spread. Since I didn't make room for tasks and goals and stuff on the calendar spread this time, I made an entire page dedicated to it instead, and also I made a playlist spread. I haven't made that in a while, so I wanted to bring it back for this month because it is really fun and I kind of missed it. But let's talk about the focus and task spread first, which is the one I'm making here on the right side. What I am doing is basically just draw a bunch of clouds, starting with the line art, of course. I made two sections. The top one will be my focus for August. I say focus, but it's kind of like a goals section, like what goals I have for the next month, or rather what I want to focus on in the month. I don't always have goals for the month, but I definitely have certain things that I want to focus on, certain things that maybe I want to improve, or certain things that I have to do, for example. And then the section below that is for my tasks. I usually write down daily tasks in my weekly spreads, but I do like to have a kind of overarching tasks list in my monthly setup. So this is where I write the big tasks for the month. For example, which videos I want to make, printables I'm making for Patreon, or other admin stuff. Like, for example, in August, I am paying VAT to the Norwegian government, so that's something that I have to do. That is on my main tasks list for August. And then at the bottom of the spread, I am doing another little illustration with some poppies and a Game Boy Color game. At least that's what it's supposed to look like, but I don't know if it looks like it. The only Game Boy Color game I ever owned was Pokemon Crystal. It was the first Pokemon game that I ever played back when I was a little kid. I don't remember when it came out, but I was young enough to not really understand English yet. Okay, I just checked and Pokemon Crystal came out in Europe in the end of 2001, so I'm guessing I probably bought it in 2002 maybe, which would have made me 9 years old. Yeah, so I'd probably just started learning English in school. I made my way through that game not knowing very much English. I probably learned a lot from playing that game too. If you've ever played a Pokemon game, you know that you usually have a rival. Although in the newer games, it's usually a friend, but like in the early games, they were your rival and they were not very nice to you. And the rival in Pokemon Crystal always say, "Smell you later," when he says bye. And I didn't understand what that meant because I knew the word smell, but I didn't understand why he said that. So a lot of slang that just went over my head. But it's kind of an interesting experience because even though I didn't know how most of the words were pronounced, I didn't know what most of the words meant in that game, a lot of the words are repeated. So like you battle Pokemon or you catch Pokemon. And so I learned to recognize which words meant which outcome. And so even though I didn't know what they meant, I kind of knew what would happen when those words showed up on the screen. So yeah, that's kind of my introduction to video games. They don't really make video games in Norwegian, as far as I know. I mean, for kids they do, but not like the Game Boy games or like the big consoles. They're all in English, so as a kid in Norway, you just have to adapt, I guess, which is fine. A lot of the music and TV and movies that we watch is in English anyway. That was a long tangent, and I guess I'm already done with the focus and task spread at this point. Moving on to the playlist spread. And for my playlist spread, I started with some washi tape decorations. I used the thinner washi tapes in the golden hour set, because some of these tapes actually has like playlist themes and says playlist in Japanese. So one of the washi tapes on the bottom says Playlisto, and then the one at the top kind of has the little play button and everything. So yeah, I used those washi tapes, and then I used the stamp that comes with the set as well. Instead of sketching everything out first and then stamping, I stamped first so that I could make my sketches fit where the stamp went, instead of trying to stamp in the correct place, because with wooden stamps you just don't know where it's gonna end up. With acrylic stamps, they're kind of see-through, so you have a lot more control over where the stamp goes, but with wooden stamps you don't really know. So you can try to be as accurate as you want, but it might end up a little bit to the side or below or above where you wanted it to go. So I thought that a better way would be to build a spread around the stamps instead of trying to make the stamps fit the sketches. This spread is of course purely for fun. What I like to do is at the beginning of each month, whenever I do a playlist spread, of course, I write down some songs that I really like at the time, and then it's kind of nice to look back through my journals and I can see which songs I listen to a lot during each month. I mean, I always make a monthly playlist in Apple Music, which is what I use to listen to music, and then I just add to that playlist throughout the month if I find something new or if there's just something that I like listening to. I'm the kind of person who can listen to the same songs over and over again and not be sick of them. So yeah, you will find me listening to the same songs for months on end actually. In the other spreads in this setup, I always have some poppies in front of things and some in the back, but in this spread they're all in the back. Only a couple of clouds are kind of in front, but I wanted the little playlist rectangles to be front and center, kind of like they are the focus of the spread. So the last things that I'm coloring in is just the little border around each one, and then I did color in the little clouds in the stamp. I did smudge the bottom right stamp a little bit, which annoys me a little bit, but it's okay. It's all good. I don't have that much room to write the song names and the artists here. I might write the artist below the play button and the song above, or I'll just write really small, which is also not a problem because I am quite good at writing very small. That's why I like really thin gel pens for writing, like 0.38 or 0.5. So I think it will be fine. For the final touches, I am doing the little squiggly lines around everything again. This is something that I started doing in May 2021, I guess, when I did my kind of celestial theme. By the way, I have new celestial stickers in my sticker shop. I made little mochi tone stickers for the celestial theme, and I made a little bundle, so go check that out if you like the celestial theme. I definitely have a lot of the same features in this theme as I did in that theme, but even so they look completely different. Right now I am shading the poppies a little bit and then using a white gel pen to make little highlights. I basically just drew a little white line along some of the black lines in my poppy's leaves, just to make it look a little bit more interesting. And then of course using a gold jelly roll pen to make little sparkles. So I do little stars, and then I do just some dots basically, because that makes it seem like the stars are just like scattered across the spread. The last spread I am setting up in this video is a spread that I normally don't include in my monthly setup videos, and that's a weekly spread. I just thought it would be nice to include it this time around. Some of you guys have been asking me to make videos with my weekly spreads, and I have done it a few times, but it's not really something that I prioritize. But I thought it wouldn't hurt to put a weekly spread in this video. And also I was kind of on a roll and I just wanted to keep going. And that's also why this video is so long, I think, because there's a whole extra spread in it. Actually, scratch that. This video would have been really long even without the weekly spread, because we're already at 30 minutes. Anyway, on this spread I am drawing a Game Boy Color, that's what it's supposed to be at least, and another Tamagotchi. Those of you born in the 90s, 80s, 70s, you will remember the Game Boy Color. It was great. I used some washi tape to put like on the screen of the Game Boy and the Tamagotchi as well, but I did go back later and change the Game Boy one because I thought it was a little bit too dark with a lot of brown. This weekly spread is actually really simple. The basic layout has 5 large boxes and 2 smaller boxes, so the 5 large boxes are for the weekdays and then the smaller ones are for the weekend. I did a similar header, like an August header on the left side of the spread, but without the flourishes, so I tried to make it as similar to the cover page one as I could, but just without the extra little flourishes. You know what I mean. And with this spread I actually didn't do all the line art first. I put down some washi tape and then I made some of the line art. I colored in some things, so I just did a little bit here and there depending on what made sense. I think I did this partly because I wasn't 100% sure of what would go in front of what, and I also wanted to make sure that everything made sense before drawing everything. You will have seen me use my X-Acto knife quite a lot in this video to cut out the little screens. I mean, cut out washi tape in the shape of the screens, and also to cut out some shapes from the washi tape headers in this spread. So the reason why the washi tapes are on top is because I wanted to have a little header for each box, and then I am putting the title for each day on top of the washi tape afterwards, so you'll see that in a second. But for now, I'm just finishing up some line art here, just drawing more poppies. I think the last things that I draw are the last poppies and the last clouds and everything. And then also, of course, placing washi tape in the last 2 boxes. If you want to know the measurement of the boxes, the big boxes are 15 squares tall and the small ones are 10 squares tall, and then they're all 11 squares wide. And what's really great about the Tuck-Tea notebooks is that they actually have markings. So they have like a cross in the middle of the page to show the center of the page, and then they have little lines along the edge of the paper to show the center of the page that way. So it's really easy to split the page into 4 and then from there split it further. I don't really have a grid, what's it called, like a spread with a grid sheet, like a cheat sheet. I don't have that, but it's really easy for me to split the spread into half like this, because you basically have 13 squares on each side. And that made it really easy to have each box be 11 squares wide. I used stickers for the days of the week and also for the numbers for like the dates. The stickers for the days of the week are from Sleepy House Lion. I really like her stickers and they were really helpful in the spread and just really easy to put on top of the washi tape. It's not that easy to write on top of washi tape, especially not the gilded ones, because they're usually like too glossy, I guess, to write on. Like all of my pens will just slide right off, but the stickers work. And then I also used some date stickers, and these were sent to me actually by one of you guys. So they were really helpful. They were the perfect color for the spread. So I'm really happy I had those. So they're just little round stickers with the dates of the month. I'll probably use these stickers for my other weeklies as well, because they were just really nice and easy to use. And speaking of stickers, for my other weeklies, I will probably use some more stickers from my own sticker shop, ikigaipapier.com. I did put some new stickers up in the shop today, right before this video was published. So there's a new sticker bundle with 3 new sticker sheets and 1 new vinyl sticker. They're all stickers that match this theme, so I think that they will look really cute in my other weeklies, and if you want them you can head over to my shop ikigaipapir.com. There's a special discount for patrons, and there's also a discount to get free shipping if you spend more than $30. So definitely check out the top bar on the website because it has some information about that and about the currency, because everything is listed in Norwegian kroner because that's where my shop is based. And now I'm just making some final touches to the spread, like drawing the squiggly line around everything as usual, and then drawing some sparkles with my gold jelly roll pen. I also wrote Tamagotchi and Game Boy on the drawings, but honestly that was a missed opportunity because it should obviously be mochibujo and tamamochi, and I did fix that. So the sticker sheets and the printables that I made for this theme has a tamamochi and mochibujo because, I mean, that's way more fun, right? And with that, we are at the end of this setup and the end of this video, so we're gonna go through, do a little flip through of all of the spreads so that you can get a closer look at them now that I'm done making everything. And if you watch this video all the way to the end, please put a sunset emoji in your comment and let me know what you think about this setup. Let me know what your favorite game console is, if it's a Nintendo Switch or a Game Boy or PlayStation or whatever. Or if you don't play games, just tell me something else that you like. I'm really happy with how my setup turned out, and I feel kind of proud that I came up with this, and I really like both the idea and the execution, and that's not always that happens, you know? You can have really good ideas with poor execution. So yeah, I'm really happy about it, and I can't wait to start using it in August. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. If you liked this setup, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and also click the subscribe button if you want to see more from me. In the description box you will find links to my other socials, as well as some discount codes and links to some of the stuff that you've seen in this video. If you're interested in joining my Patreon, August is a special month because we're doing another contest. To enter the contest, basically all you have to do is be in the Discord server, which you get access to as a patron, and then you submit a photo of something that you made that was inspired by something I made or using stickers or printables that I made, and the prizes in August will be pretty cool, so I'm really excited to share the contest with my patrons. Thank you again so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope that you're all having a lovely day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!